Enter the realm of KSBM Radio's creation. Student-led from inception to narration. Crafting content from dawn until dusk. All students involved in the work and the fuss. In the heart of Townview where voices reside. Student-led discussions where ideas collide. From interviews with leaders, peers, and businesses. Just watch us work, creating innovative content. Every aspect managed with student finesse. From podcast production to social media press. No task too daunting, no challenge too grand. KSBM Radio, we taking a stand. KSBM Radio, students leading the way. Every task idea, we seize the day. Witness now as all of our efforts break through. KSBM Radio, the voice of Townview.
I'm closer to the music.
Broadcasting live from Marvin E. Robinson School of Business and Management, Dallas, Texas.
My radio station.
We are KSBM Radio, the voice of Townview.
Hello, everyone. This is KSBM Radio, the voice of Townview. I'm your host, Jade, joined by my co-host,
Santi.
And today we want to welcome our special panel discussion, Designing for Connection, How Architecture, Interiors, and Leadership Create Spaces that Bring People Together. We are so honored to have 4 professionals with us today that are nationally recognized by the design firm Gresham Smith, a company focused on creating healthy and thriving communities. Let's meet our guests. Mr. Will Carlson is an architect in their Aviation Division focused on sustainability. Ms. Alejandra Espinoza is an interior designer who uses her unique background to create spaces that express cultural identity. Mr. Jose Tavarez is a project leader known for bringing teams together to build spaces that strengthen communities. And Ms. Helena White is an engineer who works with water resources. We're thrilled to have each of you here today. Let's begin with your personal journeys.
To start, this is a question for all 4 of you. What inspired each of you to go into design, and what motivates you to keep going every day? So we can start with you first.
Okay, perfect. So my name is Helena White. I was inspired to go into engineering because of my dad's dad. He wanted my dad to be an engineer. My dad didn't get that chance. So, I'm so sorry. After that, I wanted to be an engineer just so that I could be the first engineer in the family.
I'm Alejandra. Thank you guys for having us. I grew up in a border town, so it was very interesting to see the 2 different cultures. But then once I left that border town, I saw that our own border town was its own culture. And I think it's started transforming into design. And then what keeps me motivating is doing things like this. Younger people going out and speaking and telling them about our industry. So, yeah.
Whichever one.
I'm Will. Thanks for having us here today. I think what inspires or what got me started here in the first place is when I was in high school, like where you guys are today. I was in like a drafting and architecture class through all 4 years. So that was kind of a test run, and I was like, okay, I'll give this a shot in college, and worked out, and here I am, however many years later. And I think the thing that inspires me most is just being able to, help people's dreams come to reality. Like everyone has an idea of what they want to build or what they want designed, and then we're able to work with them and help that become a reality.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jose, and we're so thankful to be here. So for me, the journey started early at a young age. I was always very curious as a child, and so I was always playing with things, being very hands-on, building forts, playing with Legos, drawing a lot. So my mom said to me one day that I was going to be an architect. And so therefore that I pursued that. Like Will, I also went to a magnet high school where I did drafting for 4 years as well. And then when I was, my first job was working for a general contractor, doing shop drawings. And then after that, the following year, I worked at a very large architecture firm as a 17-year-old. And so those experiences shaped me, and it helped me continue and get to where I am today. And then I think the thing that keeps me motivated, to be completely honest, is that aside from architecture, my passion is in helping people and being someone that my community can turn to. And so Gresham Smith allows me to do both of my passions. I can do architecture, but I can also engage in this. I can also talk to young people that were like how I was at one point. And so that's I want to say that's the main thing that keeps me going.
So we're now going to move on to personal questions. Mr. Carlson, you work on airports, which is very specific. What first drew you to aviation design, and what do you find the most meaningful about it?
So when I was a kid or growing up, and my family was traveling far enough away that we had to get on a plane to get there, I was really excited, kind of like always giddy and like wondering what kind of plane we're going to ride. And, what's the airport's going to be like? And if we have a layover, it's like, oh, that's an extra airport I get to explore with my family. And it didn't happen too often, but when it did, it was really special. And then once I was a few years into my professional career, this job opening came up, and it was to design airports. And, I wasn't totally loving the work I was doing before I got here, but, there was that excitement. And then once I interviewed, I knew it was a perfect fit. And I've been here almost 8 years now in this role, just designing airports all over the country. So it's been great.
That's really nice. So the next one will be for Mrs. Espinoza. You grew up on the border town, like you mentioned. How has that experience shaped your creative approach to design?
Woof. That's a hard one. I just always like to learn about different cultures. And again, back to what Will said about experiencing different airports, we get to do that, even if it's just nationally. Like if you go to Detroit, it's a complete different culture than going to DFW. So that's the fun part about aviation. I've also gotten to do clubs and lounges like in Japan. So getting to explore other people's culture, I think is what kind of drives me. And then it inspires me to design. But anything cultural, I love to bring people's local culture into the design, whether it's in Virginia, Texas, wherever that might be. That's what kind of drives my design aspect.
That's very nice. Ms. White, as an engineer, how do you fit into the design world?
So engineering is kind of behind the scenes of all the design world. It's not the most flashiest of things. Interiors is really fun because you get to see it. So engineering in the design world is supposed to be invisible. But I really enjoy that support, that help, and learning something that not a lot of people know about. So having that skill set is a lot of fun.
Oh, now that we learned a little bit about you guys, let's move into a broader conversation about how design brings people together and helps communities thrive. So begin again for all of you. Gresham Smith's firm's mission is to create healthy and thriving communities. What does that mission mean to you in your day-to-day work? So we'll start off with you.
Okay, perfect. So I am a water resource engineer. So that's what I concentrate a lot on. I think creating those healthy and those communities that are able to support the larger community is super important. You work with operators, you work with people that are doing the challenges of actually going out there and making sure that everything's running. So supporting them, making sure that you have the best technology available for them, and that you have the best technology that is going to impact people the best and not impact them in a bad way where, traffic shut down, pipes are burst. You don't want any of that.
So, Mr. Tavarez, how do your different teams, like architects, designers, and engineers, collaborate to create one shared vision?
Well, that collaboration between architects, engineers, and interior designers, it's a lot of work. Our projects typically last years in design. And so if you see an airport project, you see a big, beautiful airport, know that it took at least 2 to 3 years to design, and then it probably another 2 to 3 years to build. And so when we come together as a team, it takes a lot of coordination. And so from the very beginning, when we're sketching things out, as we're working through the different phases of design, it's communication, it's teamwork, and we have to be committed to that one vision and be in unison, work in unison, so that we can deliver a product ultimately.
And for all of you again, what's a design rule that stays the same whether you're designing a huge airport or a hospital?
I think it has to be human-centric in any realm that we touch. because I think that's what's interesting about architecture and design is that it's the built world for people to use, and you have to keep that in mind. So people might be going to the airport to travel, to go to new places or see family that they haven't seen in years, or people might be going to the hospital to see their loved ones for the last time or welcome a new baby for the first time, or they might be going to school to learn as a kindergartner or all the way through high school or college, and there's just a lot of life that gets lived in the buildings that we design, and so I think that's the important thing to keep in mind.
So how do you balance all the technology an airport needs with making it feel like human and welcoming?
Yeah, I think spatially, like thinking about the experience of the passenger in the sense of an airport, keeping in mind what kind of stressors are going to be coming up. Are you running late for your flight and you have to drop your bag off at the ticket counter and get through security and then figure out where the heck your gate is at in this major mega airport. So there's design moves that we can make where we can make those spaces more calming and more intuitive to get around, where it's pretty obvious where your next stop is along that passenger path through the airport. So keeping that in mind, making them large and spacious and letting in a lot of natural light, and all those things help airport buildings use less energy too, if we design them the right way with those things in mind too. It's kind of a win-win for everybody.
And we want to add technology to kind of facilitate that experience for the passenger and make it more comfortable, because flying is very stressful for everyone. So if we do want to integrate more technology, it's kind of to benefit that passenger journey.
To you, Mrs. Espinoza, how much does the city's local culture or identity influence your design?
A lot. A lot, especially with airports, you have different people kind of calling the shots. But we want to make that airport be a reflection of the people. And then again, like Will said, a lot of the times you are just passing by, but you want to be like, oh, I was in Dallas, and it reflected through the design in the airport without you leaving the airport.
So these ideas have shown us how collaboration shapes meaningful products. Now let's look at how innovation drives design forward. So this is to everyone. How do you protect your best creative ideas when you have to deal with practical things like budget and safety rules?
I think we do a lot of that through what we call visioning. And so that's where everyone comes and brings their ideas forward. And you may have like some amazing, beautiful initial ideas. We'll notice this. We've been on projects where we have like some wild design ideas. And so we want to be true to ourselves and bring the best product forward. But then as the project materializes and it becomes more real, Will and specifically will take into account a lot of the sustainable aspects. How are we going to orient this building that we're doing, this really cool shape, to work with the environment? Can we do simulations for how much sun we're going to get? Use some of those technologies that we have available to us to make sure that as it's taking shape, we're not losing our vision, but we're also making it, comfortable. We're making it sustainable. We're making it so that, we don't waste resources. And then when it comes to budget, well, I mean, every airport wants the most beautiful, cutting edge technology. And so it's just kind of a process as we design and, to make sure that they stay within their dollars.
They got to prioritize their needs and wants.
So we could have a project that, and we did one that started out with an A-gate edition, retail, a club for people to hang out in. And then, over time, it's like, well, we're going to make it 6 gates. and then we're gonna take out the retail, and then we're gonna take out and then we're gonna ultimately do 4 gates, you know. And so we just kind of have to be responsive, and we have to be proactive. Sometimes it's a little bit sad that you worked on this vision and that gets reduced, but then you still find ways to make it beautiful, and you still find ways to keep the design integrity, even if you're being asked to shrink the project by half for budgetary needs.
And you mentioned it a little bit. How are new technology tools like 3D modeling or simulations changing how you design?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's always changing how we design. We're in this really interesting piece of history where there's a technological revolution going on. Every year there's something new. So we're always getting these new tech tools, whether it's on the computer, like a laser scanner. We just got one of those in our office, where we have an airport. We don't have any models or drawings, and we take that thing out, spins around, shoots millions of lasers everywhere, and then we have a 3D model all of a sudden to work with. So there's that, and then there's a lot of energy simulations that we can do. We use a tool called Revit to do a building information model. So that allows us to collaborate with all the types of engineers, because as an architect, you're just designing the building, but there's a structural engineer that does the concrete or steel first to make sure the building stands up. Then we're adding the architecture to it. Then the interior designer comes in and they pick out all the finishes and all that stuff to make it look nice. But we also have a civil engineer for outside, all the grading, where's the parking going, where are the planes being parked, where's the runway at. You have mechanical engineers for the HVAC system, electrical engineers for the lighting and the power and anything else that requires electricity. You have the plumbing engineers for the toilets and the bathrooms and the kitchens and any other water. And then there's a whole technology and security layer on top of that. So with the BIM model, we're able to bring everyone into one 3D building, and you've got 10,000 things in it or more. And then at the end of the day, we can export that 3D file and print it in a 3D printer if we wanted to, and then hand it to our client so they can physically see what their building's going to look like when it's done being built in 5 years from now. Mm-hmm. So,
or we can also put goggles on them and have them walk through the spaces as they're designed, with all of the finishes, with the interiors, and then we can let them walk through and fly around the model too, which is what you couldn't do that 15 years ago. You can do it now.
Mm-hmm. And you can do it in like a day if you wanted to.
Yeah.
Just the computing processing power we have at our fingertips is wild, and it's only going to get better. So that's exciting.
That's amazing. So can y'all tell us about a time when a major challenge, like a tight budget, actually led to a creative breakthrough that led the project better?
Yes, I'm trying to think of an exact time for me.
To be completely honest, a tight budget, it's hard for a tight budget to make a project better. I think what it forces you to do is to be efficient.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
Because when we're on a tight budget and we're moving to the design phases, there's the margin for error, it gets very small. So we have to be very intentional with the way that we're moving through the phases. If we're being constrained, and I think I mentioned this before, from like, for example, an 8-gate addition to now like a 4-gate addition, then we just have to kind of take it upon ourselves to make sure that everything that we intended to be a part of the original design, at least the vision, stays true.
It is impressive, though, how we're capable of making it work no matter what, and keeping true to that design from the beginning, even though it got reduced or whatever it might be.
Yeah, I think when we have an airport client that comes and says that they have $1 billion for a new airport terminal, that's easy mode, really. Once they slash it by 50 or 75%, that's when we have to get creative. And that's a fun challenge. And there's a famous architect called Mies van der Rohe, and his famous saying was less is more. So I think when we have the $1 billion, we get we just go wild with everything we can do, and then when we have to reel it back in, it's really bringing back that simplicity by doing more with less. And I think that's kind of as much as we would love to see that beautiful, expensive building being built, it's a fun challenge in our day to day to have to get creative and figure out how to make that budget work.
And the future of design depends on the people. So let's discuss a bit about how mentorship and leadership shapes the next generation of designers. So as mentors, how do you help younger designers on your team be more creative and collaborative?
I think that mentorship is at the bedrock. And one of the AIA, American Institute of Architects Code of Conducts, is that we are to nurture and mentor the next generation of architects, and we take that very serious. At our firm, we have a mentorship program, and out of, I want to say, 1,200 people that we have working, 1,200 working professionals, I think about 300 of them engaged in that program as either mentor or mentee. And so when we talk about mentorship, when we talk about workforce development, we take that very serious. I'm lucky enough to be a part of those conversations with the other leaders at the firm, and I get to talk strategy, and I get to help implement strategies, how we can continue developing our workforce. So I can tell you that we take it very serious from top down at our firm. And then when it comes to outward-facing mentorship and workforce development, I mean, we do this. Our partnership with DISD is one of our great ways that we can put out and plant a little seed in each and every one of you. Come here, talk to you about architecture, bring you into our office, do lectures, do presentations, and that's kind of our way of giving back, but also trying to bring you into the profession as well.
That's amazing. So how do you keep your whole team, with all its different experts, feeling creative and curious on a long project?
Lots of hard work, I think.
I think you have to make it fun, too. Like, you have to keep it interesting as you go through the days. Like, we are together a long time every single day. So it's like, if you let people have fun or if someone needs to break, like, just let them. It's as long as the work is getting done.
Yeah. And I think that's when great ideas come through. It's not when I'm sitting down saying, I need to focus, I need to think of this new idea. I'm going to be playing ping pong on our makeshift ping pong table in the office, and then it's like, oh, this is a great idea. This came to me. Let me go back and go work on it or talk to my team about it and see how we can make that happen. So I think it's when you take the pressure away that's when the great ideas come through.
So looking towards the future, how do you think design can help people feel more connected in such a digital world?
Yeah, so I think it's probably pretty common in a lot of workplaces, but I think what we do really well is we have team members all over the country that we work with. Like on my project currently, I've got team members in Nashville, Tennessee. I've got team members in Richmond, Virginia. I've got team members in Tampa, Florida. And we got colleagues all over the place. So the technology allows us, one, to communicate throughout the day, whether it's messaging or video calls. But that goes back to that BIM model. We can all get into that same model and see what each other are working on, or work together and collaborate on, okay, we really need to bog down and focus on this piece of the building today, and let's hash this out. And we couldn't do that even 10 years ago, really. All that technology has gotten so much better just over the past few years.
Yeah. You may be in our office one day and see someone on a video call, and it's a beautiful animation in front of their screen, and they're dictating to someone else, move the shot, take the shot, move the camera up, down. This is the view. Let's get it. And so it's very interesting how we cross-pollinate in our enterprise and really do work together well.
So before we close, let's take a moment to reflect on what design means to you personally. When you walk through a space you help design, what's one detail, maybe it's something small, that makes you feel the proudest?
That's a hard one.
I think for me, when I first started working here at Gresham Smith in 2018. We had a big project in Charlotte, North Carolina, for their new terminal lobby. We were expanding it and renovating it and giving it a really modern renovation that it hadn't had in years. It was really old and gloomy. And then one of the things that we brought into the building is Charlotte is the Queen City, named after Queen Charlotte. And there's a statue of her outside. And so what they did was they brought her inside. They took her to a factory for like a year and refurbished her, and they called it her spa day. Came back fresh and clean metal statue on this big podium, and then we have this skylight and an Oculus over it. And so one of the first things I worked on when I started at Gresham Smith was working on that Oculus. Kind of looks like a trumpet, the bell of a trumpet coming out of the sky to let the sunlight in on the statue. And so it was working through the details of like, okay, well, what is this even made of? How the heck do we make this thing, get it brought on site, hang it from the ceiling? There was just so many unknowns. It was just this design feature that no one knew how it worked. And then, so I spent many, many hours trying to figure that out. And then getting to see that in real life now and at the scale that it is at is just really kind of surreal. So it's really fun.
Oh, I thought you were going to go. I think for me, it's actually the final product and seeing that not only is the space functional, but it's also comfortable. Like people are actually using the space like we intended it. It's I don't know, it's very rewarding to see the space. I have a project that's upcoming and the client's been very excited. We worked hand in hand, so I'm very excited because it'll be completed in January. And I just can't wait for them to see the final product and then use the space as they intended it to use. I think that's the best part of it.
I think for me personally, walking through a completed project and just thinking back, like it took years to draw this up. I was in one St. Martin airport, and we had 2 Category 5s ripped through that airport. And so we were in a critical situation where we needed to get the building back, rebuilt, up and running, and we needed to make sure that the airlines were not going to cancel all of their flights because that's the point that they were in. And so we were like tough deadline, working crazy hours to get it open. And once we did, in that first day, I saw everyone walking through and using every single space, and it was like the best feeling ever, knowing that I drew it all, was there for the construction, saw everything being built, could verify on site, if something was conforming or not, give direction there, fix any issue that came up, and then just kind of seeing everyone flow through it and knowing that we made it and we made the date was one of the happiest days of my life.
And Ms. White, even as an engineer, when you walk through these finished product, don't you feel like, I did that?
Oh yeah, 100%. You have to be very specific when you design. So you're telling them what materials you want, what company is going to make this product. It gets down to the little details, and seeing that actually helps everything be built and work properly is such a relief, first of all. But it's just so nice to see.
So moving on, what's your advice for students on using creativity to make a difference in their communities?
I think the thing is if you have an idea, just to do something, just do it. Don't convince yourself there's all these reasons not to go for it, because it doesn't have to be a perfect idea just to start progressing it forward, because you've got time to make it better. Just go for it and don't talk yourself out of it.
Yeah, make mistakes. Because if you have the perfect idea, then what are you learning from it? I think you just have to keep trying, make mistakes, and then it'll come naturally. Just do it.
I think there will also be people there to support you. If you have an idea and you want to go get it, asking for help, making sure that you have that support system, and people will listen. Maybe not everyone, unfortunately, but there will be people out there that'll have your back.
Yeah. And I would just say, get involved in as many things as you can. Do as much good as you can. And no idea is a bad idea. However small the idea. If you have a passion for something, go for it.
And the last question is, if you could redesign any space to help people connect better, what would it be and why?
Some of these projects, or at least my projects, they're built on like 100 years of pipes, and you did this and then you did that, and then it gets very complicated. I mean, if in a perfect world, you would go back and redesign the entire thing, you would know where everything is, and it wouldn't be that complicated. So I guess in theory, just having the ability to go back and be able to see things linearly, you don't get that opportunity all the time in these projects.
Adaptability is super important for us. And so sometimes when we're working on aviation projects, a lot of it is modernization. And so we're adding to it, but we're also modernizing something that already exists. Sometimes you just want to wipe it clean and then just kind of start anew. But we can't do that. So we have to be adaptable, and we have to give it our best shot. Whether it's, I don't know how many wires we were supposed to tag and trace on that one project, but millions of wires, millions of wires, and it's just like, how are we ever going to do this? But some way, somehow, you figure it out.
I think what I would redesign is either like town centers or neighborhood centers, community centers, because I think after the COVID pandemic, we realized we took community for granted. I think a lot of us did, and those are just so important. Like if we go back to the basics of where towns start, and it's a place for all people to use, all the neighbors, all the community to get together and support each other. I think that's what my little project would be.
Oh gosh, it's not aviation. I just wish cities were more walkable, like in the country as a whole. I mean, Dallas is not as walkable once you leave downtown. So like if we could make cities be walkable, have more public transportation, actually invest in that, I think it would change a lot of how we function as humans. And it kind of goes hand in hand to what Will said about community and being out there. So. Well,
thank you, all four of you. So thank you, Mr. Carlson, Mrs. Espinoza, Mr. Tavarez, and Ms. White, for sharing your experience and insights today. This conversation has shown that design is about more than building or materials. It is about people, relationships, and creativity. To our audience, thank you for joining us for this discussion. We hope to leave you inspired to see design, not as a profession, but as a way to make the world more welcoming, more connected, and more human. Until next time, this has been KSBM Radio, the Voice of Townview. Stay awesome.
Thank you for listening to KSBM Radio, the Voice of Townview.
My radio station.
We hope you enjoyed the great content and great discussion, all from a student's perspective. Make sure to follow us on Twitter for the latest updates at KSBM_TVT or on Facebook at KSBM Radio.
Add them on Facebook.
Check them on Facebook. Take care.